verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, very special literature of ours, describing the life of Lord Chaitanya, the most recent incarnation of Krishna. Okay, so first of all though, please repeat after me. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Yes, so anyway, thank you for coming. It's so nice to see. Quite a number of you are here on this sunny Sunday morning. So this is now Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela chapter 22, which is titled The Process of Devotional Service. And we are going to read, first of all, at least we'll read verse 128. Right, so here it is. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Sanatana Goswami, who's one of the 6 Goswamis. So Lord Chaitanya says, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, Shri Murtir, Shradaya Sevan. And the translation, one should associate with devotees, chant the holy name of the Lord, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, reside at Mathura, and worship the deity with faith and veneration. Yes, so let's just say a few words about this verse, and then we may have a look at another verse or so. So, yes, this is Lord Chaitanya, as we said, Lord Chaitanya is speaking, and he's talking about, listing out 5 devotional activities, associating with devotees, chanting the holy names, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, residing at Mathura, and worshipping the deity with faith and veneration. Actually, this verse and this list of activities, it comes in a whole sequence of verses in which Lord Chaitanya is describing the main devotional activities. And there's actually 64. There's 64 main devotional activities, but of them, Lord Chaitanya says these 5 are the best. Let me just read the next verse. It's verse 129. Sakala sadhana shreshta e pancha anga Krishna prema janmaya e panchera alpasanga. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all even a slight performance of these 5 awakens love for Krishna. That's really quite a statement, isn't it? They're the best of all. You get all these different devotional activities, like using tilak. We put tilak on actually different places in the body, but particularly the forehead. We accept garlands. We accept garlands which have been offered to the Lord or the devotees, and different things. There's all these different activities, but of them, these 5 are the best. Associating with the devotees, chanting the holy names, hearing not just Srimad Bhagavatam, but hearing the sacred literatures basically in principle, residing at Mathura or in a sacred place at least, and worshipping the deity with faith and veneration. Now, the particular point I want to focus on, mainly at least, is the first of them. The first is Sadhu Sangha, association with devotees. That's what we're doing today. That's what we did last night. We were associating with the devotees, and we were having Nama Kirtan. We were chanting the holy names, if you remember, particularly later on in the program, well, both times, in the beginning and towards the end. And you know Raghunath? Anyway, you know Raghunath. Raghunath was getting everyone to dance, getting everyone into it, and so on. So, see, there's a principle here, and it's really interesting and it's really nice, is that all of these activities are very nice. But when you do them in the association of devotees, they become nicer. Like the Nama Kirtan, singing, chanting the holy names of the Lord. It's nice. It's nice any time. Even you do it on your own, it's nice. But when you do it in the association of devotees, it becomes nicer. And particularly, of course, there are devotees and there are devotees. Not all devotees are equal. And particularly when you get someone like Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu, he's a devotee, he's one of them. He's a real devotee. And so when you have kirtan with a devotee like him, it enhances, it really multiplies even the effect of the kirtan. So you see, Sadhu Sangha, the association of devotees, enhances the other activities. When they're done in the association of devotees, then they're better, even depending on which devotee or devotees you do them with. They can be much, much better than if you just do it yourself. And it was really nice. I thought that was a very good example last night of how he was getting everyone into it. And sometimes when he drags the people, particularly like if there's a stage, this is a small stage, you could say, when drags people up here and gets them into it, they may feel embarrassed. But that's okay. Once they get started, the embarrassment tends to go away because it's a really nice experience. Enhanced, chanting the holy names, but enhanced by the Association of Devotees. And the same principle applies with all these other activities. Sadhu Sangha is sort of like a foundation, and the others you can build on top of the Sadhu Sangha, the association, and the other activities get support from the association of the devotees, and just everything becomes deepened. So the same thing with the next one is Bhagavat Shravan. Bhagavat particularly refers to Srimad Bhagavatam, but actually in a little broader sense, it refers to any really spiritual transcendental literature, like what we're reading is not the Bhagavatam. It's Chaitanya Charitamrita. But it's also very, very sacred and wonderful. And when we study it in the Association of Devotees, then it's enhanced. Let me just tell you an experience I had many years ago, actually more than 30 years ago, I think 91 it was. I went to Vrindavan in India, and there was a series of seminars taking place, and I participated. And there was one seminar, it was for a month, on Nectar of Devotion. Maybe you heard of that. It's another one of Prabhupada's books, and it's very sacred literature. So I decided I would attend that as a student for the seminar for a month. So I did. And actually I'd already read the book. In fact, I had read the book 4 or 5 times. So I thought, sure, I know this book, it's okay. But anyway, despite having read it really quite a lot, I decided to participate in the seminar and just hear what the presenter had to say. And you know, the experience was so amazing with the other devotees and the discussion, the back and forth, and exploring different aspects of the subject matter of the nectar of devotion, of devotional service. You know, it was such an amazing experience, very revealing, that by the time we finished the seminar after a month, I felt like I'd never read the book before. Seriously. I didn't expect it at all. It was amazing. But it's because of the association of the devotees. The book is wonderful. Any time you just read it on your own, it's wonderful. But when you study it and go into it in the association of devotees, it enriches the whole experience. Yeah. Here's another example, is that if you're familiar at all with Srimad Bhagavatam, it was spoken by Shukadev Goswami. And in a whole assembly, there was a whole lot of people, and a whole lot of very great people. Lord Shiva was there, and, you know, people like this, demigods, and Narada Muni was there, and Shukadev Goswami's father, Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva was there. He's the compiler of all the Vedic literatures, including Srimad Bhagavatam, which Shukadeva was reciting. And they're all listening, and Shukadeva is speaking. And Shukadeva, as he was speaking, telling the story of Srimad Bhagavatam and explaining it in different ways for 7 days and 7 nights, 24/7, no eating, no sleeping, just carried on. So as he was adding pieces from his own understandings and realizations, it was enhancing the experience even of Vyasadeva, who had taught him Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, Shukadeva, the son, received Srimad Bhagavatam, heard it from his father Vyasadeva. But when Shukadeva was reciting it, including some of his own understandings and appreciations, then Vyasadeva, the author, who's sitting there listening, he was thinking, gosh, it's like I never heard it before. It's amazing. And Vyasadeva had received it from Narada Muni, who is his guru, and Narada Muni was there. And he was also thinking that this is amazing, I can't believe it. Yeah, it's like I've never heard this before. So beautiful. So this is Bhagavat Shravan, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or hearing some sacred literature, but in the company of devotees. It enhances, it really enhances the whole experience. And, I mean, this may sound a little funny, but in India there's an understanding that if you've got like a mango season is, well, coming in a little while. You could test this if you want. If you got a mango tree with nice mangoes on it, and a parrot, in Sanskrit the word for parrot is Shuka, and his name was Shukadev Goswami, like the god amongst the parrots. But the understanding is, if you got a mango tree, ripe mangoes, just, really the best. But a parrot comes and takes just one little bite out of a mango. That mango becomes sweeter by the bite of the parrot. This is what they say. This is definitely what they say. If you got a mango tree, you can test it out if you get parrots flying around. So even though the Bhagavatam and all these literatures are really wonderful, but when they are, so to speak, bitten by the devotees and then passed on like that, they become even sweeter. So this is the principle of association. That association just makes Krishna consciousness richer, even though it's already rich just on its own. But when you do it in association, it becomes even richer. And then the next one is Mathura Vas. Mathura, that's the sacred place where Lord Krishna appeared. Just next to Vrindavan, it's about 15 kilometers away, in that whole greater Vrindavan area, which is like a region, 168 square miles. So Mathura's right next door, and it's the biggest city there, actually. I mean, it's the only city. Vrindavan's not not a city. So Mathura is very famous and sacred because Krishna appeared there in the prison of Kamsa. Vasudeva and Devaki, his parents, they gave birth to Krishna in the prison. So, anyway, that's Mathura. So it's a very important place. And you go there now, and there's so many sacred places around Mathura, including the prison cell is still there, where Krishna appeared. So this fourth activity, Mathura Vas, means to live. Vas means to live. To live in Mathura. Or, again, in a broader sense, to live in a sacred place. Now, Richards Bay, I don't know what the history is, but I don't think it's so sacred. Is it? Hewlett's or whatever. Anyway, you know. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to close down Richards Bay and all go to India? No. But what we can do is make the place where we are living already, make it sacred, sanctify it by having nice altar, having nice pictures like this beautiful picture over there in the corner. It's really amazing. And like that. So in this way, and instead of every evening sitting down and watching TV, what's the main popular program on TV these days in Richards Bay? Or you don't know? If you don't know, that's good. What do you say? Which? Netflix. Oh, Netflix. Oh, okay, that's a company, isn't it?
No, Amazon. It's movies.
I heard about it. You know, I'm sorry to say, but I'm not sorry to say, I've never watched one. Ever. I promise you. I'm not really intending doing it either. But okay, Netflix. I know they have all sorts of movies. I heard that. So, yeah, instead of in the evening sitting around watching something from Netflix, you can have an arati and do what we're doing right at this moment. You can read from one of these sacred literatures, the family, I mean, and really focus on these things. And it's nice doing it together as a family. And I promise you, it's more satisfying than watching Netflix. I guarantee it. So, yeah, anyway. So, again, this is association. The family gets together, and they are now the Association of Devotees, and they do some sacred activity at home rather than watching, don't mind me saying it, but stupid Netflix. I don't want to offend anyone. Now, I thought you were going to say something from Bollywood. You know what? Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Or, anyway, you know, Shah Rukh. Bye. You know what I mean. Yeah. So Mathura Vas literally means to live in Mathura, in that sacred place. But if you can't go to Mathura to live, and I wouldn't really advise it actually, to live, to visit it's nice. To live, it's a bit rough. But you can turn your nice home, comfortable home, into a sacred place. And the experience is just the same as if you actually go to Mathura. It can be even better. But even that is enhanced by the Association of Devotees. If you're all staying together as a family and as a group of devotees having devotional activities together, then it enhances the atmosphere, even though there's an altar and there's pictures and so on, which already make the atmosphere nice. But when you get together and do things in such a place, it enhances the atmosphere, the togetherness of doing these things as devotees. And I can tell you, just for your interest, some years ago, probably about 10 or some number of years ago, I visited a family in Isipingo, not so far from our temple in Chatsworth. So I went to visit the family. I'd never visited them at home. I knew them, but I had not been to their home before. And so I went there and they showed me their temple room, which was not as big as this area, but maybe 3/4 the size of this whole area we're in right now. And you know what? They had collected our calendars. We do these calendars with a few pages, and each page has some big picture of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and these types of pictures. So they'd collected them for years, lots of them. And they cut out the pictures and they stuck them on the walls. And devotees, please believe me when I tell you, the walls from the floor to the actual ceiling, you couldn't see the wall. I'm serious. You could not see the wall because there are just so many pictures completely, literally, totally covering the wall from the floor to the ceiling. Then devotees, if that was not enough, they put pictures on the ceiling too. And you couldn't see the ceiling. I'm not joking. You literally couldn't see the ceiling because there are just so many pictures. So that's just an example of how to really make your house very spiritual. But it's enhanced by the Association of Devotees. And then Srimurtir Shraddhaya Sevan, to worship the deity with faith and veneration. That's the fifth activity, but that's also enhanced by the Association of Devotees. Like here, we got this nice altar. I mean, it's sort of informal. I think usually the altar's in the next room. But because the devotees have done it, you see, you've got the nice pictures, but the devotees have made garlands and other decorations. They got some cows and things and peacocks and whatnot there. So because the devotees have applied themselves to the altar, than the altar, which would be nice anyway, but it's enhanced through the devotees putting it all together. It's nice. So like this is my point, that all devotional activities, practically all, they're enhanced when you do them with other devotees. And therefore we emphasize the Association of Devotees. We really emphasize it. In fact, Srila Prabhupada elsewhere, it's actually in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada makes the comment that we have created this ISKCON movement just so people can get the association of devotees as the main thing. Also so they can chant, also so they can have darshan of the altar and read the books, all these things. But the fundamental thing, like foundational thing, which these other things are built on and supported by, is the association of devotees. So therefore it's really important that we get together regularly. I know during the COVID, it's all been just a nonsense. It's been so difficult. But now the COVID is kind of over, or, approximately over, or something like that. I mean, I'm just attached to wearing a mask. I've become used to it. Not really. But thank you for wearing masks. Yeah. But now, the COVID is at least severely reduced for the time being. Who knows for how long. We can get together. We can get together and chant together and hear together and take prasadam together. It's nice. Taking prasadam is nice. We already had some nice prasadam this morning. And last night the prasadam was really nice. But when you take prasadam with devotees, it's even better. So yes, the Association of Devotees is really foundational when it comes to doing things in Krishna consciousness. It enhances everything, and even just the effect of things is multiplied many times. And even the association of devotees is such a nice thing. Even the Supreme Lord likes to associate with devotees. I actually want to read you a couple of verses from Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Krishna, in which Krishna expresses appreciation for the devotees and for being with the devotees and having their company. Let me just read to you. I'll read a couple of verses. This is now the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4, and I'll start with verse 63, and I won't read the Sanskrit. Well, let me read the Sanskrit of the first one. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aham Bhakta Paradino Hyasvatantra Ivadvija Sadhubhya Grasta Hridayo Bhaktayar Bhakta Jana Priya. The Supreme Lord said to the Brahmin, I am completely under the control of my devotees. Indeed, I am not at all independent, because my devotees are completely devoid of material desires. I sit only within the cause of their hearts. What to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me. Means people who are not his devotees, but somehow or other they're devoted to someone who is a devotee and therefore is dear to Krishna. But even those people who are not his devotees, but they're devoted to a devotee, Krishna says, even they are very dear to me. It's really amazing, actually. And this is now the next verse. Now, if you've got the Bhagavatam at home, you should have a look at these verses. There's certain places in the Bhagavatam where there's some really special verses, and this is one, the 4th chapter of the 9th canto. So this is now verse number 64. And the Lord says, O best of the Brahmins, without saintly persons, for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulences. Without the devotees, he feels his life to be empty. This is the Supreme Lord himself speaking. And there's a couple of others here. This is a good one. Listen to this one. As chaste women bring their gentle husbands under control by service. Right? Ladies? Anyway. As chaste women bring their gentle husbands under control by service, the pure devotees who are equal to everyone and completely attached to me in the core of the heart, they bring me under their full control. That's the Lord himself speaking. He comes under the control of his devotees. And this is verse 68, and it's just a real classic. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam twaham, madanyat te najananti, naham tebyo manag api. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. And I'm always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. So, in other words, the devotees, of course this is pure devotees, and we can say, well, I'm not a pure devotee, so, it doesn't apply to me. But it does apply to you. Because all the devotees are dear to the Lord. And the Lord is merciful to all of his devotees. Of course, the deeper, the more devotion a devotee may have, the better. But still, Krishna appreciates, as we read, even someone who's not his devotee, but they're just devoted to a devotee, very attached to a devotee, which, sometimes it indicates the parents of devotees. Sometimes the parents may not be so interested. Sometimes it depends. But sometimes the parents of a devotee, they're not so interested in Krishna consciousness. So they're not devotees, but the child is really a devotee. And the parents, as parents, they're very affectionate and caring about their child, even though they may not agree on this point. But if they're really devoted to their child and dedicated, even though they're not devotees themselves, Krishna says, still even such a person is very dear to me. Very dear. It's amazing. Krishna is a very amazing person in that if someone just has a little devotion, Krishna accepts that. So my message to all of you, Richard Bay devotees, my message is try to make the most of devotee association. I mean, just amongst yourselves. I don't necessarily mean people like Rupa Nuga, who was here, or Raghunath. They've gone to visit someone, is it? Oh, they went to the funeral. Yeah. And they left the harmonium. Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. It's a good harmonium. Anyway, we should really try and make the most of the association of devotees, because all devotees are special and they're dear to the Lord, even if they're not, very advanced devotees, special devotees. But still they're dear to Krishna. And, I was in a class of Srila Prabhupada's once in Bhaktivedanta Manor in England. Srila Prabhupada was giving the class in person. And Prabhupada was talking about this subject. We have to take the devotees seriously and not think that, like Kishore Krishna Prabhu, I know him. I've known him for years. He works at Hewlett's and, I know him. But he's a devotee and he's really trying hard. So Prabhupada was saying we have to take the devotees seriously. And Prabhupada said, you never know who you are sitting next to. Speaking to this whole temple room full of devotees. You don't know who you're sitting next to. Prabhupada said, it might be Narada Muni. Very great devotee. And so everyone in the temple room looked at the person they're sitting next to. Wow, could this be Narada Muni? Well, you never know, it might be, because he adopts disguises sometimes. But anyway, just in general, we should take the devotees seriously and not become like familiar with them. Familiarity breeds contempt. You think you associate with someone, you're close to them for years, and you feel, I know this person, he's just like this, or she's just like that, and don't take them very seriously. But we should really try and take the association of devotees seriously and get as much as we can. So you're having weekly programs on Tuesdays, is it? In different people's houses? Oh, in the Vishnu temple. The Vishnu temple, right. And before you know it, devotees, we'll be having the programs in our own temple. How's that? Haribol. We only need another 3 or 4 million rands. I knew you'd laugh. But what's even more funny, in a sense, is that 3 or 4 million rands, it's only about $150,000 now. It's really not that much. 200,000. Anyway, we should get the temple together. We must get it together. And then we'll have just a really wonderful facility for doing all sorts of things. And as we were saying, one devotee and I were discussing briefly earlier, have a little, maybe not exactly a restaurant, because that's a bit of an operation to get together, but maybe a snack bar or sort of takeaway something where you can get samosas and kachoris and things like that, nice things. Because I tell you what, prasadam, in some places in the world, our devotees have built temples simply on income from selling prasadam in their one town. Yeah, because people like prasadam. Gosh, people really like prasadam. I remember, there was one time back in the early 80s, 82, 83, 84 actually, and the first half of 85, we were selling paintings all over South Africa to get funds to build Radharanath Temple, which we did. And sometimes we do these exhibitions of paintings, and anyone who'd come and look, we'd have a bowl, a little bowl of, it's actually, we call it peanut butter burfi. It's basically peanut butter that's been cooked down, so it solidifies and maybe sweetened a bit, yeah. And offered to the Lord. So people would come and look at the pictures and we'd say, oh, take one of these. So they'd eat one. And so many of them would come back later and say, could I have another one of those sweets? People love prasadam, particularly when it's nicely done. So yeah, we must do that. Something to do with prasadam we should do there. Okay, so yeah, the Association of Devotees, it's just such an important part of Krishna consciousness, and it's such a powerful thing, transformational thing, the Association of Devotees, because you become like the people you associate with. There's not exactly a saying, but it's sort of half of a saying in English. If you associate with thieves, you become a thief. It's, the idea is there. It's not an official saying. But whoever, if you associate with vegetarians, you'll become a vegetarian. And whatever type of people you associate with, you're going to become like them. So if we associate with devotees, we'll become devotees or more devotees. Our Krishna consciousness will develop. Even, in Ramayana, there's very interesting, not Ramayana, it's in one of the Puranas. There's an interesting discussion in which someone, I'll tell you who in a moment or two, tells someone else that the soul is like crystal. When you hold crystal up to light, the light just shines through the crystal and sort of refracts out through on the other side of the crystal. So the soul is like crystal. Whatever you put it up against will just pass through and be reflected or refracted out the other side. So in other words, whoever we associate with will just reflect that. It's pretty much impossible to avoid it. And you know who said that? It was Hiranyakashipu. You heard of Hiranyakashipu? Speaking to Prahlad and warning him, don't associate with devotees. Watch out, because then you'll become one. And we don't want that. And actually in the Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu tells Prahlad, watch out for devotees in disguise. Just watch out, because they can be sneaky. Yeah. So we should associate with devotees, and then we'll become devotees, or we'll become more devotees than we are already. And it's just so nice. It's just so nice. So anyway, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for your association. It's been really nice being with you. And like I said last night, I mean, not that my association counts much, but it's been 6 years since I was here. Yeah, 6 years. So I promise I'll be back in less than 6 years, okay? No sooner than that will come. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As a matter of interest, any comments or questions or anything? Points anyone would like to raise? Because you know what? They told me, I was told by reliable sources, that the devotees in Richards Bay are very